Good afternoon. And as you can see, I have a new avatar. I've been trying out different 2D live models, and this is the one I ultimately decided I liked the most, and I thought was most consistent with my style. There were some other ones. I'm still too cheap to pay for my own custom model. I'll get there eventually, I'm sure. I'll get to a point where I want to pay for my own custom V2 model, which will reflect. I have two ideas. I'm not going to go into them, but we'll see what happens. But I don't know. I thought the Shadow Devil was pretty cool. Um, yeah, of course. Still wearing the sunglasses. So yeah, good news out of Japan. I normally cover bad news in these videos, but today I'm covering some good news. Japan has elected its very first female prime minister. Now, the fact that she is the first female prime minister, while historic, is not necessarily a good thing. In fact, that could be a bad thing. It could end up being a very bad thing. Women in politics has been a net negative. I've argued with people that there are occasionally some good ones pop up here and there. Um, you know, my neighbor state, Tennessee, Marsha Blackburn, who's been a senator, is running for governor, and I think she'll do a good job. She's like, generally speaking, women in politics hasn't been like her. The point is that there are exceptions, but generally speaking, yeah, women in politics is an L. But this could be a good get for the Japanese. Because Sanae Takaichi seems very based, and she is a protege of Shinzo Abe. So if she tries to govern the same way that he did, that's good. And if she wants to try to prove that she can hang with the boys by being even more right wing than Shinzo Abe, that's even better. So, sorry. Now, shout out to National Public Radio. That's the article I decided to pull for this. Japan's parliament elects Sanae Takaichi as nation's first female prime minister. Japan's parliament elected ultra-conservative. I love that term, ultra-conservative. Keep in mind that the party that she represents is the Liberal Democrats. It's just funny how words have very different connotations depending on what country they're used in. Japan's parliament elected ultra-conservative Sanae Takaichi as the country's first female prime minister Tuesday, a day after her struggling party struck a coalition deal with a new partner elected to pull her governing bloc further to the right. Takaichi replaces Shigeru Ishiba, ending a 3-month political vacuum and wrangling. A 3-month political vacuum and wrangling since the Liberal Democratic Party's disastrous election loss in July. Ishiba, who lasted only 1 year as prime minister, resigned with his cabinet earlier in the day, paving the way for his successor. Takaichi won. I don't know if it's Takaichi or Takaichi. I'm not sure how you properly pronounce that. But let's go with Takaichi. I think it'd probably be more correct. I don't know. I'll probably end up jumping back and forth between the two of them. But Takaichi won 237 votes, 4 more than a majority compared to the 149 won by Yoshikoko Noda, head of the largest opposition party, the Constitutional Democratic Party of Japan, in the lower house, which elects the prime minister. As the results were announced, Takaichi stood up and bowed deeply. The LDP's alliance with the Osaka-based right-wing Japan Innovation Party, or Ishin no Kai, ensured her premiership because the opposition is not united. Takaichi's untested alliance is still short of a majority in both houses of parliament and will need to court other opposition groups to pass any legislation, a risk that can make her government unstable and short lived. We'll see what happens. I'm hoping that considering the state of Japan, the fact that she's going to be such a hardliner on immigration and stuff like that, as well as traditional Japanese family values. I'm hoping that will secure um, um, her in the party. If she's half as based as she makes herself out to be, I hope that she does reign for a long time. And I'm hoping the Japanese people are ready for that kind of leadership. The two parties signed a coalition agreement on policies underscoring Takaichi's hawkish and nationalistic views. Her last minute deal came after the Liberal Democrats lost its longtime partner, the Buddhist backed Komeito, which has a more dovish and centrist stance. The breakup threatened a change of power for the LDP, which has governed Japan almost uninterrupted for decades. Tackling rising prices and other economic measures is the top priority for the Takaichi government. LDP Secretary General Shinichi Suzuki told NHK Public Television as he apologized over the delay because of the party's internal power struggle since the July election. He said the new coalition will cooperate with other opposition parties to quickly tackle rising prices to live up to the expectations of the people. Later in the day, Takaichi, 64, will present a cabinet with a number of allies of LDP's most powerful kingmaker, Taru Aso, and others who backed her in the party's leadership vote. JIP will not hold ministerial posts in Takaichi's cabinet until his party is confident about its partnership with the LDP, Yoshimura said. JIP. I already see. I'm getting lost in all the Japanese names. What was the JIP? Oh yeah, the Japan Innovation Party. Yes, here it is. The right wing Japan Innovation Party. So even though the JIP agreed to the coalition, they're not going to get any cabinet positions right out of the gate. That's probably, I don't know much about the JIP. I don't really know anything about them, but that's probably not good for coalition morale. You probably should appoint at least a few guys to let them, to let your cohorts sort of feel like they have a hand on the wheel, because that's the point of a coalition government. It's the thing about parliamentary politics. It's one of the things I prefer about the two-party system we have here in the United States. The way that we have our representative republic set up is that we don't have to form coalition governments. We don't have to make deals like that. Takaichi's running on deadline as she prepares for a major policy speech later this week. Talks with U.S. President Donald Trump and regional summits. She needs to quickly tackle rising prices and compile economy-boosting measures by late December to address public frustration. While she is the first woman serving as Japan's prime minister, she is in no rush to promote gender equality or diversity. So based. Takaichi is among Japanese politicians who have stonewalled measures for women's advancement. Takaichi supports the imperial family's male-only succession and opposes same-sex marriage, allowing separate surnames for married couples. So she doesn't want women to either hyphenate or refuse to take their husband's last name. If you get married, you have to take the husband's last name. She's opposed to gay marriage, and she insists that the Emperor of Japan should always be a man. Very based. I'm not sure if this article goes into it, but she's a Thatcherite. She's a big fan of Margaret Thatcher. In fact, there's a picture of them together before Thatcher died. I don't have it pulled up, but we'll find out what happens. A protege of assassinated former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, Takaichi is expected to emulate his policies, including a stronger military and economy, as well as revising Japan's pacifist constitution. With her potentially weak grip on power, it's unknown how much Takaichi will be able to achieve. Also, here it is. Also, I read two articles and I couldn't remember which one talked about of the two I used, which one actually talked about Thatcher. Also, an admirer of former British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher, Takaichi was first elected to Parliament in 1993 and has served in a number of senior party and government posts, including as Ministers of Economic Security and Internal Affairs, but her diplomatic background is thin. Yeah, she doesn't have much experience dealing with foreign dignitaries. When Kamaito left the governing coalition, it cited the LDP's lax response to slush fund scandals that led to their consecutive election defeats. The centrist party also raised concern about Takaichi's revisionist view of Japan's wartime past and her regular prayers at Yosukuni Shrine, despite protests from Beijing and Seoul that see the visits as lack of remorse about Japanese aggression, as well as her recent xenophobic remarks. I would like to see some of these xenophobic remarks because I doubt they're as xenophobic as they claim. Also, where it's, 80, 90 years ago, that these things happened, almost a century ago that these things happened. The Japanese haven't aggressed against you in 2 generations. I think it's time to let it go, Koreans and Chinese people. Takaichi has toned down her hawkish rhetoric. On Friday, she sent a religious ornament instead of going to Yasukuni. So hopefully she's not cucking completely. Like, hopefully she's not one of those people who talks a big game and then gets into office and then immediately cucks, kind of like Boris Johnson. But yeah, she a few things I've read about her recently. She's very hawkish on China. She's not a big China fan. She agreed with Shinzo Abe that the Japanese need to remilitarize. So there's that. She wants to encourage, she wants to make things in Japan as conducive to marriage and families as possible. Because to try to get the Japanese birth rate up while also being very anti-immigration. So I think she's a step in the right direction. Time will tell. Is she going to cuck? Or is she going to stand firm? Are we going to end up with just Japanese Boris Johnson? Japanese, Rishi Sunak. Rishi Sunak's probably a bad example because she's not a Jeet. So, but yeah, we'll see what happens. Hopefully, she is as based as she seems, and hopefully, Abe Sensei is looking down from heaven with a big old smile on his face. But yeah, be sure to like and subscribe and let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you think she's gonna cuck? Who knows? Click on all my links and follow me everywhere that I have a link to, all of my alternate channels. I'll be streaming some Cyberpunk later today, hopefully with the new avatar. We'll see what happens. I don't know. I use different PCs for different things, so not sure if this VTube model is going to show up over there, and I'm going to have to re-download it. We'll find out what happens. But by all means, throw me a bone.